Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have some rough weather going on in the Caribbean right now, which is causing some havoc with cruise ports. And in fact, it canceled one whole sailing on a cruise ship. We also have NCL letting us know that they're sending one of their newest and best ships to Galveston, Texas. And then we have, another place is saying we're going to start charging cruisers a new tax. So right now in the Caribbean, there is some rough seas. I just came off of the Caribbean Princess, and we were sailing out of Fort Lauderdale. We did miss one of our cruise ports because it was a tender port and the seas were just too rough. Now, it's not a hurricane, it's not a storm that's going on, but it is very, very windy and very, very rough seas in some places, which causes some cruise ships to not be able to get in and out of some cruise ports. In fact, some people are just complaining on the Carnival Vista that they ended up missing some of their stops like Turks and Caicos, where they're basically, they say it feels like they're just out at sea doing circles. But hey, we understand because stuff happens, and that's the way to treat it. As I always say, you just have to roll with those waves, as we say, or roll with the punches, because stuff is going to happen. Weather will interfere with things. Things will go wrong on a daily basis. It's life. And if you just let it get you down, you're going to have a bad cruise. But if you let it go and just enjoy the ship and enjoy where you are, you're going to be much better off. But that means you have to get on the ship. And one ship has just said, yeah, the sailing today, we're canceling it. It's too rough. We're not gonna go out. And that is Margaritaville at sea. That's right. They canceled their sailing from December 15th. Remember, they only do normally on this ship 2-day sailing, so the 15th to the 17th. Well, it's too rough seas for them. They're not going to go out. They've just canceled it. Now, here's the interesting part. Are you going to get a full refund for your money? No, you're not. You are going to be given a chance to rebook that cruise on a future sailing. If you don't do that by by January 8th, I believe it is, or February 8th, sometime, they are going to automatically give you future cruise credits. So there's a thing to know in the future. If you're going to book Margaritaville at sea and something happens, chances are you're not getting a refund. Chances are you're going to have to go on that ship again and rebook and sail with them one more time. That's kind of an interesting thing, because I know when the pandemic hit, a lot of countries came out with new rules and things like that for airlines and cruise ships, that you couldn't hold on to money anymore. You had to offer refunds. And I did not see any offer of refunds in this cancellation. So we'll see if that's a thing or not. Next, Norwegian Cruise Line. Well, Norwegian Cruise Line's new Viva, a brand new ship. People tend to love the design and everything. There are a few complaints on board that some of the venues are a little small, but overall they're saying the food is good, the ship is beautiful, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's moving to Galveston in 2025, which again, like I've been saying, Galveston's getting a lot of ships lately, and they are trying to build up to become a huge major cruise destination and cruise home port in the United States. And I think they're pretty much on their way to accomplishing that, because it seems like before you know it, every cruise line is sending their big ships there or their new ships there, and over the next couple of years, you're going to see more and more newer and bigger ships heading to Galveston. And if they expand that cruise port even more, you're going to see a ton more sailings out of Galveston, Texas. Now, I want to talk to you about this tax, because I normally don't like tourist tax and stuff like that, but I think they're doing it right. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, and I'm not doing this, I'm not ripping off my friend Tony. I just for some reason started my hands over here because I'm pointing to something and I realized people are going to say, hey, you're doing this. And I wasn't. Okay, so I'm going to take these hands down. I'm just going to say, I invite you to hit the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the new ships coming out to the ship cancellations to what's happening in the industry. I'll try and keep you as entertained as possible, and it doesn't cost anything, but it really does help the channel out. Okay, Lisbon is introducing, starting in January, a new tourist tax of €2 per person getting off the ship. Now, normally I don't like how taxes, cruise taxes are being implemented by some places just because it's a money grab. However, they have been working with the cruise line industry for quite some time. They have given them notice that they are going to be doing this, and they didn't just implement it right away with no notice. They have been giving them lots of notice so that all the cruises before this that were already booked, remember, you book cruises well in advance and everything, right? They were not charged any of this tax in 2023. It was only going to be charged for taxes in 2024, and the cruise lines knew about it. So they say that the cruise lines were able to build the cost of the €2 per person tax into the cruise fares. So there won't be a jump in cruise fares or an extra cost to the consumer, which is the way to go, right? That's the way to implement the tax. Give the cruise lines a notice, then they can build it into their plan and build it into the revenue and build it into what they're going to charge the clients on that sailing. Unlike what happened in, say, Melbourne, where they just said, hey, by the way, starting tomorrow, we're going to raise our taxes 15%. And the cruise line said, well, starting tomorrow, we're not coming anymore. And now there's a bit of a standoff going on in Australia, especially in that area with that new tax going on, with different cruise lines saying either they're not going to go or they're going to change their home port and pull their ships in the future. I think Lisbon, if you're going to implement a tax, let the cruise lines know that it's coming, let them build it into the plan, and that makes sense for everybody, that all of a sudden they're not going to have to go to their clients and say, hey, by the way, we're going to have to cut this service on the cruise ship to save some money because these cruise ports are now charging us extra money, and we have to make up that revenue, so we're going to cut this service on the ship to make up for that lost revenue that we have to give out for the tourist tax. They can build it into the plan and things go much, much smoother. If you're wondering how much this one tax in euros are going to bring in, and remember, it's only for people who get off the ship, according to what they're saying. So a lot of people stay on the ships during this time. If that's the case, they don't have to pay the tax. It's only people disembarking the ship to get off and visit the city. So they're saying that they're going to raise in 2024 an estimate of 1.2 million euros by charging €2 per person who get off the ship. That's a lot of money into a cruise port. That's a lot of infrastructure. That's a lot of things that they can do to improve and maintain the cruise port and the tourist destination, shall we say. So I think Lisbon is actually doing it right. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think that's the way to do it? Let the cruise lines know, build it into the plan, and away you go. What do you think about not being offered a refund if your cruise is canceled? Instead, you got future cruise credits. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.